This is a good example of one that you may run into, particularly when you're dealing with a native prairie situated in croplands that many people have to deal with when they're doing prescribed burns.
Well, Daryl, can we get access to these adjacent ag fields for the pumper truck, or is that something we're going to have to be concerned with?
We can get access to this one and the one on the north.
Okay.
And I believe there's an opening that we can get into the west as well.
Okay, because
we'll need to check that before we start.
Because this is an awful long hike if we're running short on water, if we have to park it on the road.
Right. And I think we'll be able to use 2 pumper trucks on this, so that should help a little bit. So we can have 1 pumper truck out here and 1 back on the north side. And then of course we'll have the Ranger as well. Well, I think we should walk out across there and check out some of the other areas of the prairie. Yeah, there's a problem over there. You can see there's a down cottonwood that's partially burned, and when the fire gets to that, we're going to have to get over there as quick as we can and put that smoldering one out, because it'll just keep smoldering for a long period of time afterwards and make mop up a real long chore. So we'll have to watch that.
Well, we can take care of that, Daryl, when we're out here we can have some fire crew members rake around the log and suppress the fire as it gets close to it.
Good idea.
Kind of prevent any fire from even getting near it.
Getting to it. Good idea. Right. This corner here is going to require some attention, just as the line along the back line there. If we ignite off the fence, I'm a little bit concerned about this is spotty here. Some places the bean stubble is really thin, and other places it's thicker, and so I think we're going to have to be nice if we could get a better break between those if we're going to ignite off of the fence line here.
Get the landowner to run a disc along the fence would be
good if we could get the landowner to do that, right. It's a different landowner, so we'll have to do some checking with the prairie owner. Yeah. And then over on this one, we got a break situation we have to deal with over here. We got a corner break here that we're going to have to create, because this area goes back up into a slough, and if the fire gets back in there, then we've got a lot of problems to deal with. So I think we need to look to having them create at least a 10-foot wide raked break right here in this particular corner, just to ensure that we don't get creep across the line. One thing, the fuel's all flattened, so it's not going to be a high heat situation here, but I think we still want a minimum of 10 feet just to be sure that we don't get escape up that slough.
We're on the north line of the unit that we're going to burn, and there's some issues here. This is not a suitable break. We have heavy corn residue that'll carry fire, and we also have very tall giant ragweed along the edge, and as those burn, they're going to fall over, bridge into this fuel, and the fire is going to want to keep creeping into the corn, particularly if we have a north wind. So,
well, it makes it worse too. Is you got an upslope, so the fires, if it gets out in this field, it's going to move really fast up the hill.
Race up the hill.
Yeah, we want a good solid break here, don't we?
We really need to either disc this or knock it down with the mower and rake it out of the way. And then it would be nice actually to do a fuel fire intensity reduction and knock those tall stems down.
Sure would. Yeah. Before we start.
Before we start.
Good idea. This gives you a good view of the prairie from the north end here. You can see the large cottonwoods we're referring to down there, and sort of get an idea of the terrain too. With a little bit of a slope down into that wet area in the center. But we won't check this bean field out over here. Yeah, this bean duff is not quite as thick as some of the other, but it still could be a problem. As you can see out in there, if the fire gets over into that stuff, it's going to go pretty good. I think this is a good opportunity to get a panorama of the whole prairie area that we're going to be burning, and point out that in the center area here, there's some high quality prairie with some rare species and somewhat sensitive species that we want to make sure we get this burn in early enough so that we don't damage those species. So notwithstanding the giant ragweed on the edge from the siltation, this is a good opportunity to see the quality of the prairie involved. We're going to have to do some raking in this thatch here to get a nice fire line separation so we don't get creep, and so that's going to take some pretty good raking before we start to clear that area and get that thatch out of there so the creep doesn't come back this direction. So we'll want the pumper truck over here on the west side when we're burning.
Daryl will be sure to have to tell the person driving the pumper unit to keep his eye or her eye open for this intake tile, because we don't want to drive the pumper truck close to this. It's really soft and we'll surely get stuck if we do.
Gonna have to watch these wooden posts here. Looks like some of them have been singed a little bit in the past burning, but we're gonna need to rake around that wooden bases to make sure that the fire doesn't burn into those. Yeah, Greg, thanks for holding that up. This is prairie cordgrass, and as you guys know, this is very volatile fuel. So when we burn this area right here, it's going to be, even though the grass is matted down somewhat, it's going to be very hot and volatile. Well, we've just completed the circuit of the prairie, and before I burn, I always like to make sure I walk all the fire lines, and we've accomplished that today. So we got a good idea about what the problems are and what we have to deal with. And I don't think, as you guys well know, and you keep reminding me, you can't plan too much ahead on the fire breaks and making sure they're there. And like the green fire lanes, if you have those, it's a good idea to keep those mowed regularly during the season so that you're ready to go when you get out to burn. You don't have to do a lot of site preparation ahead of time, and you know the problems that you're dealing with. And we'll mention some of those when we work up the burn plan after we get back to the center.